Hello, very good evening. In today's lecture, we will learn about basics of HTML layout, HTML5 layout using specific tags called header, navigation, footer, etc. These are tags that allows us to structure the content in a more organized manner. Remember, HTML is all about structuring the content, and designing is something we do using CSS. So we structure the web layout and web content using HTML and specifically using some specific tag like header, navigation, and footers. So in this, we will quickly learn about these basic tags and we'll see how you can use them to structure your HTML. My name is Dr. Zeeshan. If you are here for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you receive the notifications and regularly news about my videos and lectures. Let's begin. So what's basically HTML layout? HTML layout has basically several semantic elements that allows us to control the structure of a web page. Now, they are basically an overall structural content, or these tags basically contain or manage the overall structural data of your web page rather than specific elements. So for example, we use header, paragraphs, images, links, link list, unordered list, tables. These are elements, these are components that you put inside the HTML. However, the structural semantic tags are basically that control the overall structure of your page, design where each component is supposed to go. So for that particular purpose, we use specifically several tags specifically within HTML5 as well that allows us to control the structure of page and define that which component basically hosts which elements. Okay, so for that we have header, we have a navigation, we have sections, we have aside, we have articles, we have footer. Now these are different tags that perform or that are used for particular specific structural content. Okay, you might have heard about this before, but for example, header. Now this is a tag that's specifically used to define the header area of your web page. Similarly, navigation is used wherever you want to put a navigation menu. Section defines wherever your main content or body of your text goes, but that section can also have articles. So a section can have articles within itself where there can be more than one article and more than one components. Similarly, a side usually is a side menu or side panel or sidebar as we refer it to. Details and footer are basically a footer, again the last bar, details, summary, and then there are other things that can also be incorporated within the layout. So typically when we design a website, you would find this is the structural layout that we want to do. Again, this is not directly related to the components. You can put images, headers, links, menus, whatever you want to do. But this is structurally designing the overall layout of your website. In order to do that, we use a header tag, navigation tag. So let's begin and go through about these tags very quickly. Now, what's a header tag? Basically, you use a header and you use /header. These are two tags that allows us to control your header area of your image. What is the header area of image? Usually and typically it's the top area. Okay, and it can, the size on the content is basically depends on you, what do you want to do. Even on your presentation, this is my header area. It has a larger size. In your web page, this is your header area. Okay, so it's like I said, HTML is just like a structuring. So in this case, we are just structuring our content. We are not designing it. We are not putting components inside it. This header just defines that, okay, the header means whatever content is supposed to go inside my header, I put it inside that header tag. Okay, it's like a block, it's like a container. So you can assume that, okay, this is my, if I have a web page, I segregate that web page into several different sections. So this is my segregation. I have a header, navigation bars, sections, articles, sites, footers. Okay, these are like containers. So you basically use this structural tags, these semantic elements to create those containers. Header is a simple header tag that allows you to have a header area. Whatever you put here will basically be considered as your header. Okay. Similarly, we have footer. Footer is at the bottom of your page. Whatever you put at the footer is considered as your footer area. Means you usually typically have it at the bottom of your page. It can have a copyright statement, it can have legal notices, it can have a sitemap, it can have contact forms and details and whatever you want to put here. So you basically write a footer tag and you let your browser know that this is your footer content. You're structuring your content area with that thing. Then for example, we come into navigation bar. Typically, this would be your menus. Okay, whatever menus you are hosting, whether they are vertical menus or horizontal menus, it depends up to you. Sorry, this is horizontal, vertical would go down this way. So whether you're using horizontal menus or vertical menus, it's absolutely up to you how you want to use those menus. But whatever the menu system you have, we put typically inside a navigation tab. And usually it's in a list form, or it can directly be anchor form. It can be in a button form, depending whatever components you use. So we just use it as a nav bar. Now this indicates that whatever the content is actually your navigation menu systems. Okay, so this allows us to segregate the section, again the structuring of your components. Then we move on to more important aspects of your page called sections. So when we do the sections, basically sections includes the main content area, the main text, the main images, and the pictures and the text that are going to be displayed on your web page. So whatever you want to do that, you put it inside sections. There can be multiple sections in your web page, there can be single section in your web page. Depends how you want to structure it. Okay, so you can have a section, it can have all the components, headings, paragraphs, images, tables. You can have multiple sections. So section 1 does one thing, section 2 has a different thing, section 3 is a different thing, and so on and so forth. So this is again like a container. So you have all the data, but you put it inside that which data is supposed to go which sections. This is navigation, put it in navigation menu. Headers, go inside the headers. The main content area, put in a section. Then you decide, okay, I may be requiring multiple sections. So I put section 1, section 2, or however I want to proceed with that. Okay, so then there is something called aside. Aside is usually typically a sidebar. So this becomes my main section area. This is again one side for a Wikipedia. I think this is blurred a little bit, but this is one aside and this is a second aside. So typically this would host some more important, more relevant, more content information. Usually we call this as a 2-column or 3-column structure as well, where one main column area hosts your main section data, and aside is usually your side subsection that hosts your information in a more relevant manner. Okay, so this is typically what we host, that my section contains my sub panels, my sub data that is going to be displayed. Now whatever you want to put here, images, links, filters, if you are doing shopping, you would find there is a lot of side sections that host your filters, whether you want to search by year, price, product, so on and so forth. So this is main content area, main section area. Aside is again another tag that hosts your side content. You may have a side, you may not have a side, depends on how you want to put it. Then there is sometimes another section called article. Now article can be an independent article. Article can reside within a section as well. So it can be nested inside a section, or you can host it as a separate as well. Usually, typically it's in a form of a blog layout. It has a header, some image form, and then the content area that's being displayed. So an article is typically what we refer it to as a blog post, in other words, or a page content area. This is used for main text, main information that is supposed to be displayed. Usually section can have a multiple sections, like a news can have small multiple news in a separate segregated section. But when we talk about articles, so when I click on the news, I get one complete web page displaying that particular news. I have a side area, I have a top navigation and a header area. So this is how we basically segregate how we structure our website using these basic articles, sections, and components. Okay, so in a summary, we have a header, we have a section. Each section can have multiple articles. There can be multiple sections. So within article, I can have multiple components being displayed inside it. Each section can have 2 aside or 3 asides as well. So it all depends how you want to structure and nest these things. So I have a header, then I have a navigation, then I create a section. Inside this section, I have an article. Inside this article or within this section, I have aside or 2 asides as well. Then after this section ends, I can create another section, aside, and footer, and so forth. So this is basically typically how we structure our web page components. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Let's just do a quick coding test with that as well. So if I open up my browser, okay, and let me create a new file. So like every other document, what we do is we create our code right from the scratch. Okay, so what I do is I go inside here and I type hashtag document DYPE type is equals to HTML. Okay, so this is a metadata that tells my browser that this is a HTML type of document. I write HTML code /HTML. So this becomes my standard HTML browser code. I come back here, go inside my tutorials, and I write it as a HTML 5 layout task, which in fact, if you're following my in fact, I will write as task. I think this is supposed to be 9. If you are following my lab manuals, this is a task that is somewhere related to this particular point, right? So I can use a task 6 or task 5 or task 4. All these basically are using the same kind of a concept. So task 4, 5, 6, I can rename it. So in my case, I will just come back here and task, I can say 456 task PRJ, because this is supposed to be project. Okay, so I name it as task 456 or whatever file you want to refer it to, because I will connect it to later on to other things. Okay, so I didn't now okay, I did one more mistake. I didn't give it an extension. So if I come back here, task 456.html, so make it an HTML file. Now coming back to this point very quickly, I will just write head. Okay, and this can have a title. Oops, title tag. This is HTML5 layout structure. Okay, structuring. Similarly, we come inside the body and we close the body here. Now this is where actually our structuring goes. So what we do is we insert a header. Okay, so we write a header tag and we close the header tag. So this is where my header goes. So whatever content I'm writing, this is my header. So I specified inside this header tag. So this is just like a container. This header tag itself will not be displayed. If I open the browser, you would itself see only the content area. So for example, if I hide this or comment this for now and save it, you would see there's nothing displayed here. Remember, HTML is only for structuring. So this is just like an empty container right now that displays your content area. So I give a header area. Then in order to give a navigation, I write a nav tag. Okay, and this is where I will be basically including my navigation. So for example, I can include unordered list, and within the unordered list I include a list item and home. Okay, and then control C and then control V, control V, control V, and then I can go, for example, education, and then I can include another link called bio data, and for example, if I'm creating HOWB hobby, so if I save it, so this becomes my link navigation area. Obviously I have not applied CSS, so we'll talk about that later on. So this becomes my navigation content area. Once I have the navigation area, now I include the sections. So how do I include the sections? I come here and I include a section tag and close it and open it. So this becomes my section tag. So in a typical example, we had an HTML, we start an HTML code and we close the HTML code. Then we have a head tag and a body tag. These are two tags that contain the basic structuring of HTML. Then further inside these tags, we have body. So we further structure it, whatever component goes inside your header, basically you place it inside the header tag. Whatever component goes inside your navigation, you put it inside navigation. Whatever components goes inside your section, you include it inside the section tags. So we include it in the section tag. Now here I can include, for example, my aside. Okay, for example, I can include paragraph in this one. Okay, and I can say this is sidebar, one aside, and then I can include an article inside this, close this, and I can include, for example, H2. This is article area inside a section. Okay, and then I can include more articles inside it. So I can come here and I can say article, close, and this is second article inside the same section. Okay, so I have another article here. Then once my section is closed, I can come inside here and I can create another section. Okay, and then within this section, for example, I can give another heading. This is second section, and after this heading, I don't want to give in any article and I just write paragraph here. This is another paragraph in second section. Control S, and this is the output that we get. Okay, so what we did here, we just did a basic structuring of my components that allowed me to have a header, that allowed me to have a navigation, that allowed me to have one section, second section. Within this section, I have an aside menu, article menu, article menu. On HTML, it just appears a simple text form. The reason is there's no CSS applied. Remember, designing is done using CSS. That's why whenever we talk about a website development, we always talk about HTML and CSS, or whenever we need to design and create a proper website, we need CSS. Without CSS, this is the output. So currently we are only working with simple HTML, and this is the simple structuring that we do using sections, multiple sections, articles and asides. So hopefully you understood this basic structuring layout. In next example, we will be doing now this complete website layout. Okay, so I will be posting this assignment in your lab manuals. I think it's already there when you go inside the CSS. So if you take your CSS lab manual, you would find this project already there. Again, I will post this there. You have to design this particular web page layout, and we will be talking about this layout in my next class, how we can use the same header, navigation, sections, and we apply CSS and we put more components and design this complete web page. Okay, so for that, keep tune in, watch my next lectures. Hopefully it will be coming soon. I will leave the link once I'm done here. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe this channel. Leave your comments and suggestions down below what you want to watch and learn in next classes, and I will try to post that. Thank you.